Alright, and welcome to my greybox iteration number 1. I think this is the first iteration. The second half of Rot Rust Caverns. As you can see, I added lights pointing to this area so that players would know how to get to it from the first half, and I've been testing in the labs to see what players thought of the first half and then the second half. So, coming up on the changes, I've added some frag mines to this area. They don't explode yet, but that's something I can work on. I think I just have to put down the trap version of these instead of the object version of them, and then that'll sort that out. Coming up, I overhauled a number of things in this area, including shifting out this rubble for a different kind of rubble, moving some lights around so that you can look this way, adding this right here, and I upped the number of ghouls substantially in this portion of the level. So if you just take a look down this way, there's a lot more ghouls, which I think will lead to a more interesting firefight. So I'm just gonna aggro a bunch of them and see where this firefight takes me. I scattered them around in places where the encounter could bring you into conflict with more of them, so it feels like you're constantly surrounded and maneuvering to avoid becoming stuck in a corner, so you can basically fight your way away from a whole bunch of ghouls. And I added a few glowing ones to reinforce their numbers. The machine gun does a lot of work in this game. It's, I guess, one of the better weapons. In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have built this character so well. I gave him 8 in all the stats, which I wanted to let the players who are testing it have the ability to be decent at everything, but in hindsight, maybe I should have picked a normal build when I built this guy. But back to the character. The level itself. I added a lot of line of sight blockers, like I said I was going to, in the form of these hills made out of bricks, which I'm really happy with. They block line of sight. They allow for places for the player to jump over, to hide behind. They make the encounters with the ghouls a lot more interesting. They make basically fighting these people, these ghouls, a lot more entertaining to watch and to play. I added a few of the raider bodies near these lamps here and here, so you can loot them. I believe there was one up there too. Let me go back real quick. There's still a few kinks to work out with the nav meshes. I'll probably have to make this slope a little bit softer so that the ghouls can get up from out of that channel. Maybe I'll add some more ghouls in there so that players who aren't careful will get a little surprise. There's a physics skeleton. Sometimes they don't fall. I have to figure that out. So change this area up a bit. Plugged a few gaps. Added this light here. This board. And I believe you'll notice the channel. This is all new, this drop down area. I wanted to add more depth to the level, so I literally added more depth to the level, so that way I could use a little bit of verticality to block off areas. I used these piles to limit where people could go, where the ghouls would be, and who you can shoot from where. So that way you don't have one player at the end of the room kill everyone in the room before they even get there. So that's that. I also I made sure that a few of the ghouls only activate when you hit certain points, so that way you're not ending up fighting all the ghouls at once. I had problems with pacing in the earlier room, so I thought the solution to that would be to have ghouls require triggers to fight you. But as you can see, sometimes if you walk past the trigger zone without triggering it, you can walk right up to these guys and they won't do anything. It's the same problem with this one right here. So I'm gonna remove these guys and change them into a different type of ghoul in the future. As you can see, I had 3 weak ghouls back there to sort of reinforce this glowing one. So if I hurt him, and I let this guy heal his comrades, as I'm hoping he's going to do. No? No, you don't want to do it? Okay, fine. So this guy's a real bullet sponge, which is why I provided the character. Oh, of course. Now you're going to heal your allies. All right. I provided him some allies, and that's why I provided the player with a rocket launcher to deal with some of the more dangerous enemies in this area. Because if you're a Fallout player, you always keep a rocket launcher or a minigun around for situations where you're in danger of getting killed by something way above your weight class. Because there's always the odd Deathclaw wandering about. So kill these guys, and I just go back to the machine gun, I guess. And then that'll be it for the level once I get to the end of this area. Alright, so changed up the position of some lights, and I added these bits of rubble for the player to climb if they want to, or for the ghouls to get around. So if the player were up here, the ghouls would be able to run up there and over to where I am. So I just want to enhance the mobility of the enemies in this level. So that's what I added these rubble for, as well as to just sort of block areas. Alright. And as usual, this is the area where the ladder would be. Up here usually. I'll still figure it out, but the ladder will be around here somewhere. And I'll have to fix the trigger volumes for those ghouls and move them either somewhere else, or make them bigger, or just change those ghouls out for the kind that don't have trigger volumes. That's it.